All right, as we're all getting to our seats here, thanks everyone. We are here for regularly scheduled city council meeting. A couple of quick orders of business, but we'll get to that right after we do the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilor Lucas, if you could lead us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thank you for that. Currently, I just have to say, we are being audio and video recorded. As of right now, I don't see any counselors online. But I don't have to read out all the folks who are in the room, just those who might show up online. Is that accurate? We now have one counselor online. We have Counselor Silber online. And with that said, you'll have to kind of just give me a couple moments of reprieve every now and again, because I'm bound to miss one or two of these tricks up here. At least the first time out, but we'll start with first call. We have one item on second call this evening, but I'd like to start with land use. Councillor Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Land Use Committee report starts on page 9. We met on Tuesday, January 6th. And the one item that we approved, others were held, was number 13-26, which was a request to amend a special permit at 14 Elliott Street, and that was approved 8-0, although I think we're going to be looking at the wording for that tonight. Is that correct, Mr. President?
It's my understanding we only have one item on second.
Okay. In any case, we approved that 8-0. That's the end of that report, but I would like to request a special a public hearing.
Please proceed.
I'd like to set a public hearing for item 58-26, which can be found on page 15. I'd like to have that set for January 27th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Zoning and Planning, Councilor Baker.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Zoning and Planning Committee report can be found on page 10 and 11 of the reports docket. I have one item to report: request for ordinance amendments to change oversight of the Economic Development Commission and for discussion on transition of the city's economic development functions and staff to the mayor's office. That was approved 8-0. I also have two items. I'd like to request suspension of the rules to allow them to be late filed. They're found on page 18 and 19. One is item 5926, presentation to discussion on report of the Newton Housing Priorities Task Force. And the second is 5726, request for discussion and ordinance amendments to dimensional controls aligning use and zoning. And those will need a 3/4 vote at the point of you get suspension.
Great. Thank you. Councilor Baker needs a suspension of the rules for late filed items. All in favor, please say aye. Great, thank you. Back to me, right? Great. For programs and services, Councilor Krinsman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Programs and Services Committee met on Wednesday, January 7th. Report begins on page 11. Item 32-26, this was a reorganization plan to create a new arts and culture department. That item was approved unanimously at 7-0. In item 25-26, the appointment of Merrill Kessler as the director of Newton's Arts and Culture Department was unanimously approved by a vote of 8-0. With that, I would move the report.
Great, thank you. For PS&T, Public Safety and Transportation, Councilor Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. President. The report begins at the bottom of page 11. The Public Safety and Transportation Committee met on Wednesday, January 7th. We took up some auto licenses. Item 18-26, requesting renewal of public auto license, was approved 8-0. Item 37-26, Class 2 Auto Dealers License, approved 8-0. Item 36-26, Class 2 Auto Dealers License, also approved 8-0. Item 38-26, Class 2 Auto Dealers License, approved 8-0. Item 39-26, Class 2 Auto Dealers License, approved 8-0. And 19-26, Class 1 Auto Dealers License, also approved 8-0, and I move the report. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Finance Committee, Counselor Grossman?
Thank you, Mr. President. The only item I have to report tonight is on second call.
Great, thank you. And for real property reuse, Counselor Maliki?
Thank you, Mr. President. There is no report.
Fantastic, thank you.
Can I report on public facilities? Which
No,
is,
I wanted to, apparently I wanted to skip that
I
tonight.
know.
Like I mentioned before. Thank you for that, Counselor Vice President Kalis.
the report begins on the bottom of page 12. The Public Facilities Committee met on Wednesday, January 7th, and item 12-26, Eversource petition for grantification of Rumford Avenue, and that was held, and that concludes the report.
Great, thank you, sir. All right, we're going to need a roll call. Can we take a roll call vote, please? Counselor Albright.
Aye.
Counselor Baker.
Aye.
Counselor Bixby.
Aye.
Counselor Block.
Aye.
Counselor Charm.
Aye.
Counselor Damabad.
Aye.
Counselor Farrell.
Aye.
Counselor Getz.
Aye.
Counselor Golden. Counselor Gordon. Counselor Greenberg.
Aye.
Counselor Gross.
Aye.
Counselor Irish.
Aye.
Counselor Kalis.
Aye.
Counselor Kelly.
Aye.
Counselor Krinsman.
Aye.
Counselor Leary.
Aye.
Counselor Lucas.
Aye.
Counselor Malik.
Aye. It's muted.
Counselor Mick.
Aye.
Counselor Oliver.
Oliver?
President Oliver.
He usually goes last.
Laptop going?
The volume's off.
Can someone turn off your computers? It might.
You and I think I go last. Yep, you're in the wrong place. Counselor Roach.
Aye.
Counselor Silver. Aye. Counselor Wright.
Aye.
President Oliver. Aye. This motion, the ayes are 23.
Mr. Clerk, I think you could give Counselor Golden a chance to vote. He arrived.
Sorry, I didn't see Counselor Golden come in. Counselor Golden. On this vote, the ayes are 24, the nays are 0. Great, thank you. So for second call, we have one item. This has been put on second call by Counselor Block. I'm going to start with our Finance Committee Chair, Counselor Grossman.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met on Monday, January 12th, and the item that we took up was 24-26. Our new mayor requesting authorization to transfer $300,000 to fund new positions in the mayor's office. The request was for $300,000 to go to the executive office full-time salaries for the purpose of funding 2 FTEs, as well as to fund the temporary overlap in our hopes of hiring a new chief financial officer and anticipation of Ms. Lemieux retiring within 6 months' time. So the 2 new positions would be for the Chief Community Services Officer as well as the Chief of Staff. And the departments that the request of transfer is coming from are $50,000 from 2 different line items related to elections in the city clerk's office. $100,000 from the Human Resources Department, and $100,000 from DPW. And I'll get into those in a second, but before I forget, I just want to report out that the Finance Committee did approve this 8-0. So specifically with respect to the departments that the request for funds is coming from, our Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Lemieux, explained that with respect to the two $50,000 line items from the Elections Department, that is available because our budget for this fiscal year had anticipated 2 elections, or at least budgeted for 2 elections, but we have only had one, and we will not have one before the end of this fiscal year on June 30th. Therefore, these essentially wages that are specific to another election, such as administering security, poll workers, those particular wages are not needed. With human resources, that funding is available because we do have 2 current vacancies in the Human Resources Department. And the administration reassured us that there is still plentiful funding remaining in that department's budget, such that if and when those vacancies are filled, there is plenty of money to fund them for the remainder of this fiscal year. And finally, with our DPW, the street division, same thing, that's $100,000 for unfilled positions with no anticipation of those funds being needed between now and June 30th. We heard from both Ms. Lemieux as well as COO Josh Morse about specifically the need for the Chief Community Services Officer position. Mr. Morse, as you may have seen in our packet, wrote a very thoughtful and I thought particularly insightful letter about his experiences working for the city of Newton, I think for 18 years, and about how in observing the work of COOs over his time, there's enough work for 4 human beings, to do that job, and that the COO, being a singular person with management responsibility for essentially every department other than the financial services department and the public schools, is really triple scheduled every hour of the day for meetings and commitments, and not able to fulfill as many of the projects, deliverables, or really kind of move the ball forward in ways that we would want our COO to be able to do in overseeing the work of the city, in interacting with the city council, and most importantly, interacting and being present with the public. The chief of staff position is similar in that regard. I think we've probably already seen how hands-on that position is. That's all right, if you can turn that off.
Sorry.
Councilor Wright, can you?
I'm trying.
Okay. How communicative Ms. Hansen, who has been serving in that role since the new administration took office on January 1st, certainly in communicating and liaising with all of us and the public and all of the wonderful staff members we have in the city. So that's the reason for the request. Again, the vote was 8-0, and I'm happy to answer any questions about other things that we discussed.
Fantastic. Thank you. Councillor Block, you put us on second call here. Item is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that this be placed on second call in the spirit of this body participating in the budget process in a somewhat different way than we have in the past. I don't suggest that we should oppose this matter. I think that deferring to the mayor regarding the staffing that he thinks he needs in order to run this city is a wise thing to do. However, I will point out that $300,000 for half a year annualizes at $600,000, and that seemed to me to be a lot for 2 full-time positions and an overlap with the CFO. It doesn't mean this should be less than 300, but I thought that we should at least discuss that, be aware that that's what this proposal is. I think also that as a general matter at a high level, the organizational structure of the mayor's office is an important topic for the mayor to present, for us to consider. And I'd just like to put those two factors before this body while we consider this item. It seemed to me more important than the other items that we considered on first call. So those are my comments on this topic. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Counselor Leary, sorry.
I just wanted to thank Councillor Block for putting that on second call. I thought that the Chair of Finance did an excellent job explaining some of the details, which I think would be very helpful for the public to hear as well. So I'm glad we had that little discussion. And I just want to say, I'm feeling so positive about the staffing in the mayor's office, the talent there, people I've worked with before. And I think if we put a little more investment sometimes, it can really pay off in the long run. So those are just my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Albright.
Thank you, Mr. President. I made a comment the other night about the economic development folks that are moving into the mayor's office. And I said, sometimes you have to spend money to make money. And I think that this falls into that same category. And certainly the mayor knows about the budget difficulties we've had in the past several years, so that I feel confident that he must have taken all of that into account when he decided to put that staff in his office, and that he needs that to do better for the city of Newton. But I do have one question for the Chair of Finance through you, Mr. President. I'm wondering, it sounds weird to me that HR has plenty of money to cover these two positions when and if they get funded. So where is all this lots of money coming from?
Thank you, Mr. President. So we learned in the discussion that HR has actually had 4 vacancies for some time over the last number of months. That was news to me in the discussion. We're down to 2. And Ms. Lemieux was optimistic that we would soon be down to 1. But I think that cumulative amount of vacancy made her feel comfortable that $100,000 was easily accessible for this particular transfer. I will say we did spend some time talking about that. Councilor Krinsman, I think, raised that. I think that was actually our first question of the evening. And we were expressing a lot of concern about vacancies in general, particularly in the HR department. I know I have had the privilege of working on several of our larger search committees to fill roles such as our city clerk, our comptroller a few years ago, a number of different positions that I've, had the privilege of working with Ms. Pizzi O'Brien, and have really been blown away by how hard she works and how much is on her plate. So undoubtedly, filling those vacancies is incredibly important. I'll also say that I expressed, I don't know about misgiving, but I found it a little unfortunate that $100,000 was coming from the elections department, even though I understand we're not administering the election and the intent of that money is for temporary work that is needed to run an election. I feel that in our clerk's office, resources have been desperately needed. And, in situations like that, I might have liked to see that money bolster other needs in the clerk's office, but we don't get to make that call. The mayor gets to decide where to take it from. I will also add that those of you who served on the last council may remember we had a preliminary discussion about this item because our mayor had made his intentions clear in the late fall that this was coming. we had a docket item before finance on December 8th where we talked in a lot of detail, leading up to the turnover in administration. So, we did have a chance to express some of our feedback then, which included, and I particularly repeated this this time. We know we've had a lot of really contentious budget discussions over the last number of years, and especially with respect to the Newton Public Schools. So I made sure on both occasions to point out that should that type of discussion come back again, Exhibit A that we would point to, that I would point to, would be that somehow we were able to find, this money to increase positions in the administration. One other clarifying point, if I may, I know I've been going on a bit. So I asked Ms. Lemieux to repeat this for me today, because back in the December meeting, I had asked what the delta was going to be between the overall current executive office salaries and the new setup. The answer back in December was about $375,000. And today, Ms. Lemieux said on an annual basis, the increase is going to be $366,000. So I think the money that we're seeing today is for, part of each of these new positions, a fair amount for overlap. And then there is also $30,000 for unpaid vacation time owed to our outgoing CFO.
Fantastic. Thank you. You all set? Great. Councilor Kelly.
Thank you again, Mr. President. I'd like to follow up or piggyback on something Councilor Grossman just referred to that I've been thinking about. The 50,000 and the 50,000 coming from the clerk's office for elections is something I think we should think about, even though I understand that they didn't spend that already this year on elections. It seems to me that we may possibly be having 2 special elections in the next year, depending on what happens with current counselors and running for office or, withdrawing or whatever. So I'm not sure I feel comfortable taking $100,000 out of elections that they may need for a special election or 2 within the next year or 2. I just thought I'd throw that out there for everyone. Thank you.
Councilor Grossman.
Well, just to be clear, the money for this particular funding for elections is only pertains to the period between now and June 30th. So that's news to me, but any special election we would be talking about, it would have to be, that date would have to be set by the mayor in conjunction with the clerk, and they would have to be able to administer an election by June 30. So
That would be correct. And also, I don't foresee that happening in the next 90 days, but perhaps in the next fiscal year, that may be the case. Anyone else on this item? Councilor Baker.
I'm supportive of the item, and I think that this administration deserves the opportunity to do what it would like to do to make the government of the city work. I will say that one of the things that I am sympathetic to is the idea that the resources available in these 2 positions and in the other roles in the office will enable the city to function more efficiently. I am concerned that we do run into line position challenges where people in the lower ranks have a lot to do and sometimes difficulty getting it done. This mayor has assured me that the idea of doing some ability to share responsibilities across the administration to make sure things get done is going to occur. Obviously, the details matter in this specific situation. But I do think that it's important to give the mayor the tools in advance, but I also expect that there will be attention paid to making sure that the people at the lower end of the pyramid of the personnel structure are adequately supported, and we have the personnel, for instance, in the Human Resources Office and other places to do the job on the day-to-day basis and not just in the supervisory capacity. So I'm looking at this as a sort of beginning of a process, and I hope to hear more about how those successes are going to be affected when we get to the budget.
Great, thank you, sir. Anyone else? All right, I'm assuming we can do this on a voice vote tonight. Yep, can I get a motion for voice vote, please? Great, thank you. Just for the record, can I get a second, please? Great, thank you. So I think let's try a voice vote on this one. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, I believe that is a unanimous vote. I believe I heard Counselor Silber online with an aye vote as well. All
Let me double
set?
check with them. Hang on. Now I just seem to have lost him.
Right there.
Counselor, do you wish to be heard on this vote?
To be on camera, but yes, that was an aye for me.
Great, thank you. All right, so I believe we're all set. Great, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Fantastic, thanks, everyone. Have a lovely night.